In this video, I'm going to be showing you the best movement techniques that I know, and I'm also going to try to include in-game examples so you kind of understand what I mean. But yeah, let's get into it. A few settings. First of all, I would recommend to turn on auto sprint. It just frees up a key bind, and on top of that, you need to bind your scroll wheel to jump and move forward. It can't be another key on your mouse or a regular key like D or N. It needs to be a scroll wheel so you can get like continuous inputs. It's good for bunny hopping, tap strafing, like a whole bunch of stuff, almost everything. I like to use mouse wheel down for jump and mouse wheel up for tap strafing. You need to have crouch on hold so that you can continuously B-hop while crouching. You will not be able to do it if you don't have it on hold. So yeah, that's it for the settings. The basics that you need to understand: you are faster when you move without your weapon out. I see a lot of people try to like do stuff, with like a shotgun out.
Stop it.
What you need to learn how to do is to quick switch. So this is being able to kind of like shoot, switch to your weapon, and then instantly be able to slide and then switch back to your weapon. You kind of see Fade doing this all the time. On top of that, you need to know how to strafe. Strafing is just looking the same direction that you're going, while in the air. So it'll look like this. You can use this on a jump pad to continuously strafe. Once you have strafing down, you can start tap strafing. Tap strafing is essentially the same thing as strafing, but instead of going in super slow turns like this, you can kind of just do them a lot sharper. This is gonna depend on your sends, how fast you move the mouse and how fast you move the scroll wheel. You can use this to tap strafe out of a jump pad. Should be it for the basics. You need to be able to do those things before you can start continuing on. Next, I'm going to talk about wall bounces. Usually people teach others to wall bounce by letting go of everything while you slide jump into a wall, and then you also scroll wheel jump when you touch the wall. This is good for tall walls, but on walls that are shorter like this, you'll mantle and it won't work correctly. And the way you fix this is by holding either A or D, depending on the direction you're going, to attach onto the wall, and then that allows you to wall bounce. If I'm going to the right, I want to hold D. This is a lot better muscle memory. You can do this on normal size walls as well. And what this allows you to do more specifically is wall run. So this direction, I'm going to the left, so I'm going to hold A, and now I can wall run and I can get a lot more distance. Another useful one would be fatigue wall jumps. All this is just jumping before a wall jump. Usually when you don't jump, you kind of just climb and it spits you back down. But if you jump before doing it, you get a lot more height. Same principle applies here. Usually people tell you let go of everything. Still hold the key because it still works, and it allows you to kind of get mini wall bounce. I just always recommend to use the key because that's how I began my muscle memory, and I never had problems wall bouncing on the smallest walls. Like, you can wall bounce on almost like anything, like any height. The first thing you want to know is super jumps. Super jump is just you pressing E and double jumping, or just using your scroll wheel at the same time. But you press E first and then you scroll right after. You can do this on space, but it's just going to be a lot less it's going to be a lot more inconsistent. So use the scroll wheel to get it almost 100% of the time. It's also better to look up because you do go up faster that way. Next would be mantle jumping. The first step to this movement technique is mantling. You need to be able to like always mantle, and a mantle is just climbing over something, just like how a regular wall would be. It's kind of this animation. So just before you completely get all the way to the top, just press S. Once you press S, at the same time, you want to look down and super jump. I know it sounds super complicated, but if you go step by step, this will make sense to you. Start first getting consistent mantles, then get consistent mantle cancels, then get consistent mantle cancels while looking down. Once you complete look down, you just super jump, and this will kind of launch you forward. If it's really troubling you and you really can't get it down, I recommend downloading something like OBS and getting a keyboard overlay so that you can record yourself doing it and compare it to mine. This is kind of how I knew when I was getting it wrong, because like, you know, I thought I was pressing S, but apparently I wasn't. And you know, once I got that down, you know, it fixed it. So all right, next thing is Superglides. If you don't know what a Superglide is, it's just pressing jump and crouch at the same time at the peak of a mantle. This, you know, movement technique is affected by how much FPS you get. Now, what's recommended, especially if you're new to this, is to go to settings and bind your C to crouch so that you can just use your thumb. You can press C and space at the same time with the same finger, essentially getting a lot faster timings. Right now, I'm not using no config. This is me like being legit. I went to the Superglide trainer, and what this is, essentially, it just tells you your accuracy. So you set your binds, you set your FPS. The real tip to Superglides is that instead of pressing them at the same exact time, your spacebar has to become before your crouch button. It has to be within a frame of each other. So if you're on a lower frame rate, it is essentially easier. I'm gonna press jump and C. And you can see I have 72% chance to hit the Superglide. If I change this number to 300, I'm gonna half the frame rate. You know, a lot more consistent. But this is what you need to use, especially if you have a keyboard like the Wooting, you know, the Apex Pro, or, you know, Razer Analog, where you can adjust the switches. I think, you know, gives you advantage in timing. Like, I literally was never able to do that on a regular linear switch. For the jump, you know, when you're actually supposed to press them in the air, I always say at the top, the very top. So there's a time where he's in the animation, and then when he's at the very top, he kind of just stands there for a second. You'll definitely notice what I mean if I slow it down. Like, there's an animation of him going up, and then he kind of just stops in the air, like inside the mantle. That's where I time it always. That's how I learned it. A lot of people say to look at the edge of the screen and it kind of shakes, but you know, I don't really get that. And I think I saved the best for last. We're gonna talk about advanced tap strafing. This is everything from RES, REF strafing, neo strafing, all that. The reason why I'm saving this for last is just so that you understand that everything you practically did beforehand, you can do these out of. First thing I'm gonna go over is an RAF strafe. An RAF strafe is, you know, not using your tap strafe, it's just using your direction keys to gather your momentum. You can redirect yourself in the air if you press your keys, you know, in a timely fashion. So what I'm doing, if I'm going to the right, I'm just going in a circle. So I'm pressing W, then A, then S, but I'm doing it so fast right after I jump that I have enough momentum to slide away. Once I start sliding, that's it. So this is without using tap strafe. All I'm doing is going to the right and then jumping and pressing W, A, and S. The other way, it's, you know, going to the left, W, D, S. You can slide away. You can also do this backwards. So instead of doing, you know, W, D, S, I can do S, D, W. It still works. You know, all that matters is that you get enough keystrokes in, you know, without overlapping each other. The real key to this is just timing when you actually jump. If you try to start pressing before you jump, you know, it just won't be as fast. It's really just all timing. And that's RAF strafing. That's literally all RAF strafing is. RAS strafing is essentially the same thing, but with tap strafing. So before, you know, I wasn't using any tap strafe and I was pressing W, D, S. So now what I'm going to do is press, you know, SA. I'm gonna do it backwards, but I'm not gonna press W at all. This is REF strafing, literally just going in one direction, pressing either S and D or S and A, and tap strafing. It lets you slide out. You can also do this forward, so you can press, you know, WAS right here and tap strafe. It's just, you know, not as good. You have to kind of like move your cursor to the left. You need to hit those two down before you start neo strafing, because neo strafing is just the combination of those strafes, you know, back and forth. For this, you need to know how to b-hop. Realistically, this should have been in the basics, but I don't know why I didn't do this. B-hopping is just pressing, you know, jump every time you slide, jump, and, you know, come in contact with the ground. Once you can b-hop, you can b-hop strafe. So, you know, what I showed you before. So you can b-hop strafe from left to right. And then you can b-hop tap strafe as well. all these are, you know, specific use cases. You're not really going to always be doing this. Once you have b-hopping down, it's literally just adding the past three things I taught you together. So REF strafing backwards, you know, when I was showing you how to do this, that is how you neo strafe backwards. You literally already know how to do it. You just REF strafe backwards and b-hop. I'm putting a lot of space in between the b-hops just to kind of like, you know, exaggerate and show you what I mean, but realistically you can, you know, do these back and forth. And like I said, you can do these, you know, strafes out of everything. Out of a wall bounce, I can RES strafe into a neo strafe essentially. And after a wall bounce, you know, I can slide, so I could essentially just start neo strafing on someone right after that. You know, once you get these down, you know, you're essentially a movement god because you can do everything everywhere. All it just, you know, relies on is just your execution and your creative thinking. And I know I didn't talk about neo strafing forwards, but I did make a whole video on this, and I think the way I explained it over there was a lot better than when I explained it in this video. So go watch that video if you're still having trouble. But that's pretty much it. Leave a comment on what type of video you want next, and peace.